What's up, Bears fans? Ryan Poles could be on the way out. We're debating whether Ben Johnson or Mike Vrabel is the better coach for the Chicago Bears in the future. Detroit media is saying nothing, but people in my chat are saying, well, Detroit sports media is reporting that Ben Johnson is not signing in division. That's, I assume, that's the way they talk in my head. So, let's just go with that. And Chicago sports media is that true? Is that not true? Of course, we're delusional. At this point, all we want is a winning product on the field. Does that make us delusional? Yeah, it really does. So let's break it down. If you like this content, make sure you hit the like button on the way in. Let's get it. All right, guys. Step one. One Chicago media personality believes that Ryan Poles and the Bears could part ways after this. Mark Silverman says this: one of the main reasons that Ryan Poles took the Bears job, and this is a refresher, is that he liked the direct reporting nature to the team's owner. However, they brought in Kevin Warren after that. Poles then answered to Kevin Warren instead of the McCaskey family, which apparently Ryan Poles is not a big fan of. Now, is it something that would cause Ryan Poles to leave? I don't think so. Ryan Poles seems to me the kind of guy who wants to finish a job started. And look, he's put together a team, and it's one of the losingest teams that we've seen in a long time. Now, we contribute some of that to Matt Eberflus, and that is fair to say that they've done a very poor job of managing their men, of making sure that this team is ready to play and firing on all cylinders, if you will. We're in the NFL. All you can do is coach effort, and Matt Eberflus did not coach enough effort out of that team. I think there's a consensus at this point that that is 100% the case. So he put together a decent team that was poorly coached, and it's not getting better one game into the Thomas Brown era, which is projected to last probably 5 games, because we don't see at this point any opportunity for Thomas Brown to continue in this job. There's 4 games left, and this team really looked like it quit and was wholly unprepared for the 49ers. Now, 49ers, to their credit, probably turning their season around, or potentially turning their season around, playing for pride, and this was a Super Bowl team with most of the pieces still there, so it would be fair to say that maybe, just maybe, we can chalk this up to bad game. How do we handle our division rivals in these final stretch? That's going to be a testament to who we are and how we're built and what it looks like. Minnesota coming up, and look, the Bears need a win versus Minnesota to get back a little bit, just a little bit of that swagger that's been missing for this entire time, from the moment that Caleb Williams said to Torrey Taylor, hey, you're not going to have to be punched. Well, he's punting a lot. So let's see what happens there. Does Ryan Poles go, or does... Well, that leads us to the question of who is the better guy as your coach. Now, look, there is a fair debate to be had right now, because we don't know what a quote-unquote leader of men Ben Johnson looks like. We don't know if he's that guy. Perhaps he's just a genius in a lab that's running really good offenses. There are a lot of people out there that really like what they see from Ben Johnson, but just because you like the way that he can coach an offense doesn't mean that that translates into this team being better because of Ben Johnson. How does he hold people accountable? How does he get the most out of people? Does he inspire people? Those are questions. Does he have an eye for detail? Does he let things slide? Listen, too many times we saw Matt Eberflus let things slide. And when I say slide, imagine, if you will, you have a player who just basically took off a Hail Mary play like Tyreek Stevenson, and then when they check themselves back into the game because they're jawing with fans, and by the way, it doesn't matter whether you were jawing with opponent fans or your own fans, to let them know, yeah, we just won, or whatever the case may be, and then you check yourself back into the game and you tip the ball into the hands of the receiver. Instead of batting it down, you're tipping it up. Like, you go through these tip drills all the time. How do you not do this the right way? And then that costs your team a victory, really takes the wins out of the sails. And in order to pay for that penalty, you're out for the first series until somebody gets injured, and now you're just playing the game. And you've been playing your game to the lowest of your ability since then, and nobody's holding you accountable for that. So how do you fix that? And does Ben Johnson do a better job? Now, we know that Mike Vrabel does. We just saw the video the other day where Mike Vrabel's talking to one of the Arthur, I think his name was, who asks what he thinks is a dumb question. And then Mike Vrabel says, we're losing. The only thing that matters is we're losing. Like, why do you not see that? Like, that's the kind of stuff that Chicago media, oh, they're going to eat that up. That's going to be so much fun. So, the question, and one thing that we know right now, Mike Vrabel makes players play harder. We don't know that about Ben Johnson, but here's the other piece to that. What if we miss out on one of the finest offensive minds of our time? There is a risk involved in this, and there's a risk that we're going to have to take maybe. Look, whatever the Bears are going to decide, whatever Ryan Poles or whomever replaces Ryan Poles decides, I'm going to have to be cool with, because I don't make those decisions, and I'm going to have to find a way to make the best out of it and point out the positives in it and hope that the negatives are outweighed by the positives. The end. So maybe, just maybe, when we find out. Now, my personal opinion, after thinking it completely through, is I still want to have Ben Johnson. I still want to have Ben Johnson because, again, I want the finest offensive mind in front of Caleb Williams. Now, here's the other part to that. He won't be running the offense. Somebody else would be running the offense. So, we're not going to get him at his best position so far. And then who does he bring in for defense? Like, what does his staff look like? Stuff like that. So there's questions about Ben Johnson, but we can get an idea of what Mike Vrabel would look like, because we've already seen him put together a staff, and we already see his coaching pedigree and line and, everything that goes along with it. So we can get an idea of what that would look like. And I'm fine with either one of these guys. I'm not fine at this point with Thomas Brown. I don't think that, look, if Thomas Brown were him, if that were the guy, then they would have done more than score 13 points and give up 38 points to the San Francisco 49ers, no matter how motivated the 49ers are. I hope you guys understand that, and I hope. Now, in closing, to deal with my video comment chats, there's a lot of people that come out here and they make just ridiculous comments here, like Detroit media reporting that he's not signing in the division. They have no idea what that looks like. It happens all the time. Now we've got some Ron Rivera here. Dumb. Ben Johnson is not a proven head coach. Head coach and offensive coordinator is two different jobs. Right. Calling a potential hire dumb is a terrible take. Risky, sure, but it's not dumb. Like, that's what I deal with all day long, just in case you guys didn't know. And then I went to the Detroit Press and I looked through, and I've been scrolling through for the last couple of days. Nobody in Detroit is saying, might be some of us talking heads on YouTube, but nobody's saying that. So I do think that it's fair to say, ultimately, that the Chicago Bears and Ben Johnson, that should be number one, and that Mike Vrabel should be maybe 1A. And look, here's the thing. It's got to be, in my opinion, Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel, or Joe Brady. Now, the reason for that is because those are the names that we most publicly are affectionately calling those guys that we're looking at, and that's part of the list that got leaked. Now, if that is the case, we've got to nail one of those guys. If we don't, then it becomes embarrassing for the Chicago Bears to not be able to get our guy, okay? So I think the Bears are going to move hard, they're going to move fast, and they're going to look to lock down an offensive coordinator, coach, Ben Johnson, or a defense. They're going to lock down a head coach very, very quickly in this process. They don't want it to go to Jacksonville, don't want it to go to Dallas, they don't want any of these things to happen. They want to be at the forefront. And look, the first team to sign a coach, the first team to do that, usually that's a good sign for players and people. It means that they mean business. If they don't mean business and they spend too long dicking around with this thing, then it's going to end up in. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Bear down. We got Minnesota coming up. Look, I want to see a victory in Minnesota. I'm going to say that the Bears are probably going to lose again because I don't like what I see from Thomas Brown so far. The team is woefully unprepared. But, let me know what you think. What is your prediction for Minnesota? And we'll talk to you again very